Hey everybody, Lorelia here, coming to you with a video about debt collectors. Yesterday did a live, and on the live I was talking about a totally different topic um, from what I'm discussing today. Yesterday, I think I talked about dark web and the Equifax breach. And so one of the viewers had a question about, collection accounts. And that is a topic that really deserves its own video because it's a loaded subject. It's a very convoluted subject because there's so much information out there with how people should deal with debt collectors. And so although I did videos about it, um, you know, it's still a common thing that people still deal with. And got a few emails even today. So let's get to it. Um, I'm not new to the subject. Jumpstart Your Credit, a book that I wrote in 2011, updated in 2013, primarily deals with debt collectors. So I'm not new to the topic. If you know my story, you may not. Um, I was someone many moons ago who was harassed by a debt collector. Um, I ignored the calls, I ignored the letters, and lo and behold, they levied my bank account, took over $2,000 out of my bank account. I still have all that information. If you look at some older videos that I did, I think about 2015, 2016, I actually show you the levy that they got from the court in New Jersey to be able to levy my bank account. With all that being said, I made a vow at that time. This was me having no knowledge of the law. We're talking pre social media because this was late 90s. We're talking still dial up internet. So my only recourse was books. That was really my only recourse. It was not like you can go right on, YouTube or websites and listen to 10 different people give you advice on how to deal with a debt collector. You basically had to put your nose down in the book and really read if you wanted help. So I made that decision, and so that put me on a journey to understand how is it that a company can basically violate you financially by levying your bank account and taking your money away. And so I learned the laws. I learned the state laws. I learned the federal laws. I learned my rights as a consumer. And lo and behold, I came across what's called the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And that primarily, if you're someone who really wants to know how to deal with debt collectors, that federal statute, it's a whole statute code of different things that debt collectors can and cannot do. It is put forth by the federal government. You will find it on the FTC site, and my book primarily deals with that. So what I want to really address, because like I said, it's a loaded subject and there's so many ways to really come at it. And right now you see a big push in social media with people telling other people, don't pay your debts, don't pay debt collectors, and this is the reason why. And that is a double-edged sword. And the reason why is what people will not tell you, and this is for people who are out there promoting not to pay debt collectors. One thing that I can say about my content, I've never told people to use debt validation or what have you is a debt avoidance scheme. Because many people have leveraged debt validation as a debt avoidance scheme. They don't want to pay the debts, so they want to leverage that. So you'll hear people with this whole mantra, don't pay your debts, don't pay your debts. I'm going to tell you like this. You don't pay your debts, you ignore them, you don't know the right recourse, you can get sued. So in my book, and yes, I'm going to plug the book because I've talked about this subject. I could talk about it all day. I'm really trying to convince a YouTube live in a very loaded subject matter. But in my book, I give you a bonus audio about, what to do if you get sued. Because that is the recourse if you ignore debts. Because see, when I was explaining to people, and even when I do, when I provide information on this subject matter, when I wrote the book, I was talking about in regards to how to kill the noise. Because if you were a person like myself, many people who are plagued with debt, that's why I've wrote about debt-related depression. What happens is that we get so overwhelmed with our financial matters that we want to ignore them. That is what the human side of us want to do. We truly want to ignore them because in our feeble mind, we really want to believe that if I ignore it, some way it will go away. And the reason why I say we is because I was that person. I financially couldn't pay the debts, and I really thought that if I ignored it, it would just go away. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, because what you don't fix, you will eventually face. Because you're either going to pay now, pay later, but you will pay. So how will you pay? You could pay with possibly getting sued. You can get a voluntary repossession. My mistake, a voluntary judgment. Judgment. A default judgment. I apologize. A default judgment. What is a default judgment? That is when the debt collector serves you to go to court and you refuse to go to court. Because once again, you don't want to deal with the matter. And you've been told on YouTube by a gazillion people, don't pay your debts, don't pay your debts, don't pay your debts. And you don't pay your debts. And so now what happens, the flip side of it is, now you get served by a debt collector to appear in court. You don't go to court. Now what happens is that every state has different laws. But here in New Jersey, as well as in New York, you don't show up for court. The judge will allow the debt collector to get what's called a default judgment. What a default judgment means is that what the debt collector was trying to do, because the debt collector legally cannot just go and just levy your bank account. The only people who have that capability are the federal and state government in regards to taxes. They're the only ones who could just go in and garnish your pay and levy your bank account to get their money. Other private entities have a recourse to go through, based on your state law. So in New Jersey, they have to go before a judge and say, hey, judge, we want our money. This person owes us. And so what happens is that the person, the consumer, you who owe the money, ignore the letters, or you don't hire counsel. And what happens is that, boom, the judge grants the debt collector company a default judgment. The default judgment now allows that private company to be able to levy your bank account, garnish your wages, put a lien against any assets you own. That is why they're going to the courts. Why am I telling you all that? Is because be very careful of people who are promoting don't pay your debts. Like I said, Debt validation, which is a very common strategy, I've talked about it, is a strategy that is used to just show, do that debt collector have ownership to the debt so you can pay them. That is what it is. It's not a way to say, I ain't gonna pay you. And as much as people, and the reason why I say that is because those are the emails that I get. Because you got to understand, a lot of people who are promoting this, when people get sued and they try to go back to those people, they don't have no recourse. And although I'm not giving out legal advice, but they can't tell them, because when a person comes to me and say, hey, this particular debt collector is about to sue me, I got to go to to court in so many days, and I want to get a background of the story. Like, well, what were you doing when they were contacting you, when they were calling you, when they were sending you correspondences in the mail? What were you doing? So the reason why I say it's a loaded topic is because another case can be where a person gets credit repair, and then they'll see that the collection account was on their credit report. It's been removed. But what they don't realize is that removal of the collection account on your credit report does not remove your liability to pay them. That's not the same thing. So in turn, what happens? The debt collector still pursues you. But, oh, I forgot, you were told not to pay your debts. Don't get me wrong. One may say, well, Aurelia, you have a video right here on YouTube. You can go back, I believe it's 2016, where I say that. But then that video is pretty much almost like a 25 to 30 minute, really a free tutorial explaining to you the process. Not a little 5 to 10 minute blurb about don't pay your debts. Because in my book, I break out what, categories of debts. Current debts, past due, and charged off debts. When you're dealing with a debt collector, those are considered charged off debts. So when one says to me, I have a collection account, what should I do? If anyone's had a consultation with me, they know that I automatically say, this is my common thing. I am never going to tell someone not to pay their debts. Nobody ever sat with me and said, oh, she told me, don't pay your debts. And nobody never had no consultation with me, and I've told them that. Don't pay your debts, So, settle. I mean, Ronald, I believe you were the one. You really have to contact me, because I'm going to just give you just a blanket answer, not knowing that situation, because I'm never going to be one to tell you not to pay your debts. So nobody ain't going to never, have me on a YouTube video saying don't pay your debts. With you, if Ronald says he's getting settlement offers and he want to know should he pay them. It really depends. It really depends. There is no blanket. There are some people who really feel good with knowing they don't owe anyone. So the fact that they don't want to owe no one, they would go and pay the debt. But the reason why I said, Ronald, I want to be very careful with instructing you without formally talking to you, is because the other flip side, where the people who are telling you don't pay your debts, they don't tell you what nature of debts not to pay. Because what happens is that if a debt is past the statute of limitations, legally, the debt collector, should not be pursuing you based on the law. But we all know that debt collectors know that large part of the, consumers in this country don't know that. So what happens is you get these settlement offers, and if you pay them and it's past the statute of limitations, as a matter of fact, recently, I had a client who sent me a form, and if I can find it, I'll actually do a live and show you. And on the statement, it says from the debt collector that of course I'm paraphrasing, but they actually said on the statement that the laws of your state are, really the statute of limitations have passed, that they can't sue. So they're saying, we can't sue you for this debt. They actually said it in the letter. We cannot sue you for the debt. But yet they're still collecting on it. They're still collecting on it. Now, what happens is that if it's past the statute of limitations for it to be on your credit report, it's past the statute of limitations for them to collect on it. And if you proceed to go pay, what happens is you reset the clock. It's what I called waking the sleeping giant. You have now reset the clock. So what that means is, although the statute of limitations have passed for your state, although the statute of limitations have passed for them to collect on it, although the statute of limitations have passed for them to even put it on your credit report, in the event that you pay, it resets everything. The clock starts over. So that's why I said it's really a loaded question. So Ronald, if you want, you can reach out to me. My email is below the last video I did, but I'm at LORILLIABP at gmail.com. Curtis, you're another one saying, should you pay? It really depends. It really depends. Like, that's why I'm saying I am diligent enough that I would have to examine it, because I don't want to tell no one, no, don't go pay that. Don't go pay that. Because you got to understand that, a lot of people are they're just rehashing stuff they're hearing, but they don't know the course of it. Even if you may not have never been through, you could have been in the industry and have dealt with certain situations. So you want to be very careful with, I ain't gonna pay it. I saw a few YouTube videos, and these people got a big following, and I know they telling the truth and all this other stuff, and you get yourself hemmed up, because them people who got that large following, when they about to sue you and you gotta go to court, see if you can get them on the phone. See if you can get them on the phone. Ain't gonna happen. So the best way that I can answer, should I pay or should I not, really depends on the nature. Depends on the nature. It's a lot of factors. It's a lot of factors to test. Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Ronald, yes I do. So reach out to me, LORILLIABP at gmail.com, or you can go to services@yourmoneymentor.com. Curtis made a good point. Curtis said, well, what about if you're trying to get a house and the lender says pay it? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's so many factors to consider. Do you know people have came to me and said, I'm trying to get qualified for a loan. The mortgage lender said that the underwriter is going to ask for these items to be paid, and should I pay them? I mean, of course, if you're trying to get a loan and they want you to pay stuff, of course. You see what I mean? You gotta. That's what I'm saying. The matters. I mean, that's another thing, Curtis. See, that's what I'm saying. There's so many factors. Curtis brought up that if you pay, your score can drop. Exactly, because all they're going to do is put on your credit report, pay as agreed, paid as something. Many people say, oh, I'm going to do a pay for delete. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. People don't know that process. Because most debt collectors are going to give you a canned answer where they're going to say, well, we can't promise you that we can remove it off your credit report. That's what the canned response is. Now, is there a way to get it off your credit report? There is a backdoor way. But trying to go to a debt collector and say, okay, well, let's negotiate, if I'll pay you, if you promise me that you're going to, delete this item. Like I said, good luck with that. Because like I said, a lot of people are giving advice and they don't know that process, because my thing is this, telling someone to do a pay for delete, tell the person how it works. Tell the person how it works, because 9 times out of 10, many debt collectors, they're not going to do that. They're just not, but, Curtis, you brought up, there's so many factors, are you in the market of buying a home? Like I said, there's no canned way to just deal with collectors. Like anyone who is telling you this is the only way, it's a bunch of BS. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get hemmed. You're going to get hemmed. And what do I mean by that? Do you know how many emails? I've gotten, I think, 2 emails today where a person said, I'm about to get sued by a debt collector. What do I do? Sounds to me, now, I haven't talked to the person, it was just by email, but sounds to me that they got hold of that information that's being circulated online. Don't pay your bills. You're talking about discharges, bankruptcy discharges. See, this is what people don't realize, is that collection accounts do more harm on your credit than actually a public record. And let me explain to you how. See, public records, when you get that insertion, whether it's a bankruptcy or judgment or whatever, you get a one-time hit. Boom. It's like a bam, like a hit on your side. Could your score drop by 50, 75, 100 points? Yeah, possibly. But the thing with those collection accounts is that your score gets banged every month. Like, bing, bang, 30 minutes, 30 days late, bam, bam. So when you getting dinged every 30 days with your credit, every 30 days, that's what brings your score down. So riddle me this. You have people who are online telling you not to pay the debt collectors, but they dinging your credit report every 30 days. What you gonna do? How you gonna stop them? Like, what that process look like? And see, my thing is this. It's like, like, okay, let me get this. Like, all right, don't pay my debts, but the debt collector is every 30 days reporting that I'm late. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. It like I said, I cannot stress enough the importance of, either learning how this stuff works, just so, you have a lot of options. It's just more than 2. See, Curtis, if you haven't noticed, I'm being very cautious with my answers because I don't want to fall in that group of telling people online. There's a big old push now where people are telling people not to pay their debts. So my thing is this: what is your goal? Because earlier I said there are some people who they don't want to owe nobody nothing. They feel good when knowing I don't want to owe nobody. So they'll pay their debts. So it goes back to that. What is your goal? Do you just want to pay debts off? Because remember, we got the debt-free movement going on. I don't want to owe nobody. I don't want to owe nobody. I don't want to owe nobody. So they want to pay everything off. But then you got some people who want to raise their score. Okay. Well, that's a whole nother thing, because it's like you just said, Curtis, and that's true. You go paying everything, and now your score take a hit. So you like, well, dang. Then if I do it, then if I don't, I pay the debts, and now my score dropped. Like that's real life. That was my story. I mean, my thing is this. You just mentioned about needing a new car or a new house. I can understand a underwriter saying that they want you to pay your debts to qualify for a home. But for a car, I don't know. Like, I mean, my thing is this: if anything, they probably hit you with a higher, interest rate. I don't know, Lady T. What are you saying? You need $20,000 or you need good credit? What are you saying? Like, because my thing is this, what a lot of people don't know, you don't need like a 700 credit score to qualify for a loan. I think FHA is like, what, 580 and above? So that's why Lady T, I wasn't sure what she was saying. Did she want a 700 credit score or she want $20,000? I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're saying you don't want anything to ding your credit. You know, everything dings your credit. I mean, there's no such thing as your credit just stands still. Your credit gets dinged if you're paying on time, you're not paying on time, you're late. I mean, there's a lot of factors. Your utilization goes high. There's a lot of things that you're trying to pay off. Okay, well, there you go. See, and that's another thing, so when a person is paying off debts, sounds like Lady T is in that whole category of, I'm trying to pay off debts. So if you're trying to pay off debts, that's why I go into what is the nature of the debts, because once again, I did videos on that, the whole thing of, people saying, I want to be debt free, and they could go saying, I'm paying everything off. And then, okay, they're paying everything off, but now what's the nature of it? The car and the home really don't hold the same weight. And the reason why, Curtis, is because a house appreciates in value and a car doesn't. So I really don't put them two in the same category. Believe it or not, getting qualified for a car is not hard. There are lenders who will finance even people with low credit scores. Will you get the best rate? You probably won't. But you will get a car. So I don't put them in the same category, because one is an appreciating asset and the other one is a depreciating asset. So when you say, would you buy in cash? Working on your credit is always a benefit. I definitely don't see why a person would want to live with a bad credit, because there is good information, whether it's online, whether it's books. Like, really, in this day and time, my shoulder, in this day and time, there's no reason why, a person should be living with bad credit. You either want to do it yourself, you either want to educate yourself on it, you want to pay someone. Like, there's so many avenues. So with all the avenues that you have, I don't understand how one would have bad credit. Because if a person says, well, I don't really have money to pay anyone, okay, well, it sounds like you have a lot of time. So if you have a lot of time, then you need to learn how to do it yourself. And if you don't, even if you pay someone, and I've said this, yes, do I provide the services? But I always encourage people to learn how it works, learn how the law works, so they don't have to fall victim to any predatory practices that are out there. Especially if you are leveraging credit, which a lot of times I've talked about, to get into wealth building. Because are there some benefits of paying stuff in cash? Yeah. Because I get it. Some people are they're very fearful of debt. And so just the idea of them knowing that they hold a balance on their credit card scares them. I mean, with me, I'm leveraging, my credit all the time. So I'm always, yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm already at 30 minutes. But just to sum it up, when it comes to collection accounts, it's a loaded subject item. I don't want to, give put the wrong thing across, because what happens is I get emails like several that I got today. I'm about to get sued. Like I said, I already know how that process works. The reason why a person's about to get sued is because they ignored the calls, they ignored the letters. Okay, well, Lady T, I mean, how's that working for you? You should have some type of debt elimination process going on. You know, you know, um, what strategy are you using to pay it off? I have a lot of resources that can help people to, learn how to pay, like, I mean, what's going on? Do you lack the income? Do you feel overwhelmed? You don't know if you should tackle the one with the lowest interest rate, the highest interest rate, the small balance, the large balance. Like, well, what's the problem? You're lacking income. Sometimes people, it's hard for them to manage their current bills along with any debt that they're incurring. So it's a lot of factors into, I need to pay off $20,000, in debt. It's a lot of factors to consider. If Lady T, if you want to reach out to me, feel free. Email LORILLIABP@gmail.com. And although a lot of content is good online, and even myself, I provide, content online, what you really don't want to do is, because every situation is really different. You never want to hear a solution and then try to cookie cutter yourself in it, because I've seen a lot of situations like that, where people have heard some information online, thought their situation was the same, and tried to cookie cutter it, and they got themselves in a deeper hole. I see that a lot. So I always recommend to find that. That's almost like, and I like to use this analogy with that. It's almost like you're having health problems, and you refuse to go to a doctor, you refuse to get help, so you go online and you try to find the symptoms of what you have and if someone else has them. And then now you use the recourse of, okay, well, I'm going to try to look into the same remedies that person had, and then come to find out you're getting worse. And then when you go to the doctor says, well, this is what you have. And then you're like, oh, I thought I had this. So it's the same thing with credit. You don't know how many times a person will verbally tell me this. Okay. Well, like I said, if that's working for you, do you have a timeline? Do you have a time horizon when you were paying that off? You know, when do you plan to buy the home? Because at the end of the day, you know, and I've did videos on this, you know, I always say, and it's a video where I have the most, you know, dislikes. Your ability to stay debt free or out of, you know, any financial trouble is all based on your income. And people will fight me tooth and nail, you know, but I am noticing that a lot of people are seeing that you do need more than one income, because it is hard in this economy. This is not your grandmother's day, this is not your grandfather's day, this is not your mother's day, depending on your age. um you know, one income is just not enough, you know. And so having a multiple ways of earning money will expedite. Okay, sounds good, Ronald. Please do. The links will be below this video. They're below the other video if you wanted my last video. But once this processes, I'll have all that under here. So, like I was saying, the days are gone. You need more than that, Curtis. I don't know what part of the country you live in, but in Jersey, a family needs more than 70,000. In New Jersey, 70,000 is low income. Our local community college here in my county just rolled out that children who live in a family making less than $70,000 can qualify for free community college. So 70,000 here, Curtis, depends on where you at. Could be low income. There's no family of four here in this state, New Jersey, New York, to, you know, high cost of living states. New York is higher than New York. I mean, it's New Jersey, but we're neck and neck. 70,000 is good if you single and don't have no commitments, you know. And when I say commitment, I'm even going to throw a student loan bill. I was just talking to one of my church members today, and they were saying that their child, of course, grown person, has a $500 student loan payment. So depends on what part of the country. You know, 70,000 may do good in certain places, but in New Jersey, that's that's not much. That definitely a family can't live off that. You know, you would be considered low income. You know, I'm even hearing that over there in San Francisco. So it really depends. It really depends. But you know, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'll have all my links below. Please like, subscribe, let me know your thoughts. And like I said, collections is a loaded item. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all don't pay your debts, because you will get yourself in a jam. Like I said, I got several emails that came to me today too, where people caught up in a jam. They caught up in a jam, you know. And what's a jam? They about to get sued, you know. So y'all keep listening to people telling y'all don't pay y'all debts. Let me know how that works, you know. Let me know how that works. Because my thing is this, you're going to pay now, you're going to pay later, but you will pay, you know. Because my thing is this, okay, you're telling me not to pay my debts, but my credit report's getting dinged every 30 days. The debt collector's just dinging me. Okay, what's the answer to that? Number two, I got a debt collector's about to sue me. What's the answer to that? So understand there's a whole nother dynamic to it. That's why I said collections is a loaded item. There's no one way fits all. All you can do is give a lot of scenarios, and you know, and this could possibly be the problem. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you're somebody who is suffering from debt collectors, harassment, want somebody to look at your credit report, want to know, you know, what type of game plan you need to eliminate any debts you have, helping you to identify debts. Remember, in this video, I talked about the 3 types of debts that I break down in my book. The credit industry hasn't changed that much. Reach out to me and let's talk. So until the next video, please like, share, comment, let me know your thoughts. Bye bye.